It is. Hey, I'm Greg Gutfeld with Candace Owens, Geraldo, Jesse Waters, and she plays hide and seek in a dollhouse. Dana Perino, the Five. By now, you've all heard about CNN viewers harassing people they don't like at dinner.
President. You ain't supporting.
Wilson, you're a villain, locking up immigrant children.
It's awesome. Anarchists and socialists ruining other people's lunch just to make them miserable before the check comes. It's pure unconscious brain function where screaming and other reflexes are only possible if it doesn't involve actual thinking. This is what fascism looks like when it first puts on its baby jackboots. It's so adorable when they first try to walk in them. I feel for their families, but I know their families don't talk to them. They just send money because people like this don't have jobs. What we're seeing is a contagion. This is what failure looks like. Unemployable yahoos who join a mob and demand people with jobs just give up. It's physically repulsive. I mean, literally physically repulsive, meaning it's time for Greg's golden rule of anger. Thou shalt not yell. Check out that beard. That's Commandment 12. It's right there. The more you yell, the better it feels, but the worse you look. Just watch.
Should be our cold open.
I love her. But she is just thinking what Rosie's saying.
I believe he should be impeached. I'm sickened by Congress that doesn't call for articles of impeachment. We have to fight with everything we got, because if somehow they're able to rig the elections again, as I believe they did in 2016, then we're going to all be in trouble as democracy dies right here on our watch.
Like fun. In fact, Rosie seems like a perfect fit for the resistance. If the Democrats don't make her their 2020 candidate, they're missing the boat. Meanwhile, in West Hollywood, the Democratic Council bravely voted to remove Trump's Walk of Fame star. Yeah, I'm sure that really ruined Trump's day. Sorry, if losing your star on the Walk of Fame is the price you pay for being a president who gets stuff done, you know where you can stick that star. Dana has a name for it. Never let you forget it, Dana. Filthy, filthy Dana.
Nope.
All right, so...
what was the word?
Well, where have you been? Where have you been?
We'll catch you up in the commercial break.
Yeah. So Candace, during this, when they were bothering you at the restaurant, there was actually a white guy calling you a white supremacist, which I think he might be right, because I notice you're wearing white right now.
I am wearing
You are
white
a traitor.
Right now. Listen, it's very hard being a black white supremacist in this country, may I just say. This was absolute nonsense. And just to be clear, the entire police force was built of black and Hispanic men, save 1 out of the 11 police officers happened to be white. The rest were all black and Hispanic, and they were shouting race traitor to us. The entire Antifa gang, if you guys don't know, watching at home, consists of all white people. There are no black people in this crowd. So it was very rich to watch them yelling at us, calling us white supremacists, telling us we were race traitors because we don't necessarily believe that we have to vote Democrat.
Can I ask you, Chris Hahn went after you, and it's becoming this thing. I saw it, they're saying like, oh, how could this happen? It's so convenient that these guys are actually eating at the same restaurant.
Yeah.
So,
the most ridiculous thing, the restaurant opened, we sat down first, suddenly a table of 4 came in and they all had on Antifa decals. You know, part of being an Antifa is you're not allowed to shower. I'm not saying that to be funny. They don't shower. Yeah, that's real.
That's have a political statement.
Yeah, it's a political statement because they don't like society, they don't like the system. So part of this is being filthy and unbathed. So they walked in.
So they were noticeable.
Yeah, they were quite noticeable. They sneered at me and Charlie and they sat down. But here's what we did wrong. We underestimated the left. We thought they could get through breakfast peacefully and sit there and eat their meal and allow us to do the same. But of course, they were sending out a bat signal for all of the other Antifa protesters to come and arrive and to stalk and harass us.
wow.
Were you frightened at any time?
I was only frightened that I might react. That was the biggest concern, because when someone has a bullhorn that is this close to your ear and they're shouting and calling you a race traitor, and someone has a whistle on the other side of your ear and they're calling you names, they are really testing your relationship with
They want you
Jesus
to.
Christ.
They want you to, because then that makes great tape if you react. So the whole thing is to bait you into doing something that you end up not able to live down. Geraldo, I want to ask you, you are an icon. You've been around for like at least 70 years on this planet. You've been through so many different eras. So many different eras. And we have a lot of people saying, my God, there's no dialogue. I'm one of these people. I worry about this dissent and everything. Does this seem even close to the stuff that you've been seeing? I mean, are we over exaggerating?
I think that this is much more theatrical than it was down in 1968, 1969. It was real violence there. And there was a division in the country where there were times where people were thinking the country was going to be torn asunder.
Yeah.
I mean, it was generational. It was partially racial, not as bad, I think, as today in terms of the race aspect of it. But there was bitterness, there was separation, there was a lack of communication. There was absolutely, you didn't trust anyone over 30. Yeah. Republicans were automatically racist. It was very, very bad. But I just want to say something about what happened to Kansas. I deplore that absolutely, just as I deplore what happened to CNN's Jim Acosta at the Trump rally in Tampa. I think that this is going beyond the pale. It is intolerable. And if you push me, for instance, I'm going to push you back in a physical way. And I know that, didn't they spill water on you at some point?
Yeah, so Jim Acosta, it was a chant, right? They threw water, they threw eggs, they threw food at us. So this was different. And we were not at a Trump rally. This wasn't a political gathering. We were eating breakfast.
What'd the cops do when they threw stuff at you?
They asked if we wanted to press charges, and Charlie said no. Charlie said, we don't want to press charges. I think that he felt that he didn't want to turn them into a martyr, to make them go home and feel, look, I got arrested because I was defending, or I don't know what they think they're defending, I guess.
Did you at least get a free breakfast?
I did not.
That's Jesse.
No.
Did you leave a tip?
Well, technically I did. Charlie Kirk paid.
Okay, good. Because during election night in 2016, I was across the street watching the returns come in. I was getting a little excited as the night went on, and some person came up and threw water in my face. And I got a free steak out of it.
That was Kill Me, by the way.
That was not Kill Me.
Yes, it was.
But I'm glad you guys handled it the way you did. You want to rise above that. And that's the way to go. You
I don't want to rise above
publicity. You want to throw something back at it.
Like at the Black Lives Matter with me in Philadelphia.
Yeah, you got a whole full water bottle.
And I went chasing after him. Hannity loved it.
Can I ask Geraldo a question?
No, go ahead. Yeah, of course.
Well, I wanted going back to 1968, 1969. Then what happens to calm things down? Or how did that happen? Was it a person, a leader, a movement? Did it just burn itself out?
No, what you had this confluence of the civil rights movement, the anti-war movement, and the generation gap. So all these things came together. It was a cataclysm. And what happened eventually, the draft petered out, first of all, and I think most of the white kids were basically motivated by self-interest. They didn't want to be drafted to Vietnam or Cambodia or Laos, so they were protesting, and they seemed righteous in the protest. And I was one of them, but what I was really protesting, even if I wasn't saying it, was I don't want to be drafted, I don't want to be killed in Southeast Asia. What happened is the draft first petered out before the war. We pulled out of Vietnam by 73. 75, the war was over, we had lost.
And Nixon had resigned.
And Nixon had resigned.
And it was all the Democrats' fault.
When Nixon resigned, that was really the end of the 60s. 1974
this is important to differentiate, okay? Jim Acosta, it was a chant, and he was taking pictures and loving it, okay? We were not taking pictures with Antifa after this. They wanted to harm us. Jim Acosta was aware that this was a friendly chant, if you will, because if he wasn't aware, he wouldn't have gotten down and taken pictures with the protesters subsequently. This is a big difference when we're talking about a chant that's meant to get people excited at a Trump rally versus actually trying to bring harm to an individual. I would never want what happened to me to happen to Jim Acosta, though, and I will say that.
I want to I actually like it when there's levity and positivity, and I think we have tape of this was at the where Rosie was, and you have now this I think is good. This is a dinosaur and a shark. Dancing. I want to ask Jesse. I think this is beautiful.
What is that?
That's a shark and a dinosaur, and you have Rosie. I think Rosie. I'm not joking. was very articulate and could be a match for Donald versus Rosie.
I know what you're saying, because there's such a vacuum in the Democratic Party that people like Rosie or porn star lawyers or fringe congressmen are filling it, and they're becoming the face of the resistance.
But they also have a feud. Dennis Trump.
They already have one.
Yes.
She has had Rosie Trump derangement syndrome for a decade.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, they've feuded forever.
It goes both ways.
It does go both ways. But Trump has
called
always
her a disgusting fat slob.
Right.
And to be fair.
To be fair. And Trump used Rosie to win that debate, and he can still use Rosie to win the midterms. If she is now the face of the resistance, he is blessed with such great enemies. When you think about the people that come after him, from the media to Rosie to Maxine Waters, he's blessed. And he's going to use this to his advantage.
I don't know, but Dana, a lot of people made fun of Donald Trump when he entered because he didn't know all the issues. He was a TV host.
Yeah.
Isn't it a mistake to do that with Rosie?
Are you forming a draft Rosie movement?
Yes, because I was wrong about Donald. I totally underestimated him.
I
don't want to. She's singing and dancing a Broadway play outside of the White House. There's no way to parlay that into a successful presidential campaign. But I hope she does it.
Yeah.
I have to say, though, as far as protests go, I mean, they want to sing Broadway songs to me. I was like, that's
a nice.
I'm telling you,
it's actually a pretty good protest.
I wish Antifa did that.
No, that's what I'm saying. This is
more effective. It's persuasive.
This is the way to do it, is to have some joy, some fun, and dinosaurs. Dinosaurs.
But the bottom line is this. You point to Rosie and you dismiss her potency as a candidate. Just say Ocasio-Cortez, she's not going to play anywhere but in heavily blue neighborhoods. Same with Bernie Sanders. You got nothing. It's a non-starter in terms of a national appeal. The Democrats have yet to field somebody who could aggressively confront a Republican on the issues with eloquence and charisma and strength, machismo or
Rosie. Not like that.
Rosie ain't going to do it.
I think that dinosaur was actually Bernie.
Maybe telenovela Cory Booker, because he's the emotion. It's hilarious to watch him.
He's
like
running.
Watching General
You could tell. He's
They've
running.
got time to figure somebody out, but I just don't know.
It's not Cory
There's no
Booker.
one natural that comes to mind.
Mark Ruffalo. I saw him do a progressive event, and I was impressed by his passion.
But if you're doing progressive events, that's my point. You're not going to play to the country.
Well,
you're going to play to the Democratic left. That's it.
All right. Well, I as somebody who underestimated Trump, I don't underestimate anybody anymore. I learned my lesson. All right. The president's America First agenda and progressive ideas being tested by voters in key races tonight. Dana has all the details next.
Oh, Geraldo likes it. Geraldo likes that song. All right. Major midterm tests for both parties playing out in the real time with voters casting their ballots in 5 states. Americans there answering big questions about the president's America First agenda and the Democrats' embrace of socialism. The first poll is closing in just over 2 hours from now in Ohio's hotly contested 12th district. It's the final special election before the midterms. This race, a focus of President Trump. He's urging voters to back congressional candidate Troy Balderson.
If you want to have a border, if you want to stop the radical Pelosi and Maxine Waters agenda, there's only one choice in this election. That's vote for Troy Balderson. He's going to help everybody. They're going to get the job done.
All right, Jesse, when the president specifies that it's Maxine Waters and not you.
Maxine, no relation. No relation.
Just to make sure.
Thanks for clearing that up.
Troy Balderson benefited from President Trump coming. Whether it can actually turn into a win for him, who knows, but the president brought a lot of energy.
Yeah, the president says he's going to be campaigning 5 to 6 days a week leading up to the midterm. 6 to 7, wow.
You can't campaign more than that.
That's a lot. But that's a lot of political capital he's going to be spending in these midterm elections. He understands the stakes are high because Pelosi running the House. You're going to have congressional oversight. You're going to have subpoenas. You're going to have potentially impeachment. It's going to be an absolute disaster. I don't know what's going to happen in this Ohio district. If Balderson does win, the media will say, oh, he's expected to win. It's a Republican district. And he loses. It's going to be a huge momentous upset that's going to showcase the trend of the Democrats retaking the House. So we'll see what happens.
The other thing is, Geraldo, you're from Ohio, so you've been seeing this. But if this is a special election, whatever happens tonight, then they go on to campaign again, and they have to run again in November in the midterms.
Well, you know politics so much better than I do, but you know that in the special election, you could ask 5 people on the streets of Ohio if there's an election today, and I don't know.
But there was a lot of energy, and in fact, it looked like the turnout could be up to 30%.
But that was a Trump turnout. That's not a Balderson turnout. As I
according
understand,
to Rosie, those people were paid to show up. Remember, that's what she said.
But Balderson, this seems like a repeat of the Pennsylvania one with Conor Lamb.
Yep.
Balderson, older, kind of, okay, he's an okay candidate. The Danny Boy O'Connor, 31 years old, the whole world's against him. All these big bad Republicans are against him. This district, I don't know if it's ever gone Democrat, at least in the modern era.
Yeah.
It's outside of Columbus. It's part of Columbus, which is where Ohio State is, and the rural area is dark red. I mean, if the Democrat pulls this off, I think that it will be righteously big headlines. If he wins, if the Republican holds the district, then I think you're right also. But I think for good reason, Jesse, that there will not be, he was expected to win.
Candace, do you want to talk about this race or the one up in Michigan where you have some very left-wing people running?
That's correct. Look, I try to stay out of all of this because it's very unpredictable because you don't know who's going to show up. And just because Trump does a rally, as you mentioned, does not dictate who's going to actually show up and vote.
Right.
Michigan, I'm hoping it is Johnny James. But
for the Senate seat.
Yes, absolutely. And look, the thing that I think is the most compelling story here is how the Democratic Socialists, this whole movement and this whole wave is going to pan out. Like, is this really a movement? Did Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez manage to inspire a bunch of people who literally know nothing and don't understand math to say, hey, I want to make it. I want to be on TV. I want to be sitting next to Trevor Noah. I don't know math, so I want to run as well. That's going to be a very important trend to pay attention to. We can laugh about it, but it's going to get very serious.
Yeah, the Democrats have this big split, just as an example, and then you can comment on anything you want.
Yes,
but in Michigan, in the gubernatorial election, Abdul El Sayed.
Yeah,
and then Shira Thanandar and Gretchen Whitmer. They're all Democrats across the spectrum, and some of it is quite far left. The Bernie version.
True. That is true. I wish we would ban the phrase gubernatorial. I hate that word. But no, you know what?
Governors.
What's scary is that we have a large population who think socialism is what you do on Facebook.
Right.
Oh, I'm being social.
Right.
That's what they don't actually see the thing. But here's the thing. When you're in power, you got to try harder because the people out of power have nothing to lose and everything to gain. All you can do is lose because you're in power. So these people, so the equation is, will the hatred for President Trump exceed one's knowledge of the bankruptcy of progressivism? That's the equation. Republicans got to be persuasive. That means visually connect the left-wing beliefs to something visual. So when you talk about socialism, you talk about Venezuela, toilet paper, or the fact that zebra is catch of the day at the restaurant zoo.
I'm so glad you mentioned that because
Thank you.
One thing that I was thinking about today, and I believe Kevin Williamson, who is now back at National Review, wrote about it today.
I've read that column.
Socialism is the short-term word that conservatives are using to say it's all socialism.
Right.
But what the progressives are doing, Jesse, is trying to address concerns about financial anxiety that people have. So they're saying, like, we have some answers for you. These gubernatorial candidates, are running on basically a Medicare for all in the state.
Raising
they are
the minimum wage to $15
in their states. They're dealing with these questions of financial anxiety. And our conservatives sort of missing the boat to try to find a better way to answer it because Venezuela might not be working.
But Ocasio-Cortez is enormously attractive.
I'll answer it.
But I think
she's young and she's vibrant and people love her in the Bronx and Queens, and I'm sorry.
Yeah, but we don't know if socialism can play in the heartland. We've seen it play on the coast. We'll find out if it's going to play in a Michigan or a Missouri. I don't know. I mean, it's very expensive.
Socialism, you mean like putting tariffs on imports?
No, I mean paying $42 trillion for free stuff for America.
Here's the thing.
That's the price tag.
Socialism right now is turning zoos into restaurants, and people are eating zoo animals. That is a visual.
I don't get that joke. What is it?
It's not. In Venezuela,
it's true.
In Venezuela,
they're eating the zebra?
Yeah, they're eating the zoo animals.
That's a tragedy. I used to cover Venezuela.
They eat their own
One of the richest countries in South America.
Angel Falls, Las Islas Margaritas. I love Venezuela. Now it's gone to hell.
If you don't want to be forced to eat your own dogs, then let's vote against socialism. That seems like a pretty good way to answer.
I, for one, am against
but
that.
Jasper could feed a family.
Oh my goodness.
I'm kidding. It's a beautiful dog. I would never eat Jasper. Never. I would hug Jasper.
Jasper loves you.
I know.
All right, we're going to move on. Iran lashes out after getting slapped with new sanctions. The impact of President Trump's maximum pressure strategy ahead.
But you look like the kind that likes to take it way down.
The Iran deal is one of the worst deals I've ever seen negotiated.
I said, who signs the deal when they're marching saying death to America?
John Kerry.
Not the best negotiator we've ever seen. He never walked away from the table. Except to be in that bicycle race where he fell and broke his leg.
President Trump keeping his promise. After ripping up the Iran nuclear deal, the White House has restored harsh economic sanctions on Tehran that were lifted by President Obama. Trump calling them, quote, the most biting sanctions ever imposed, and warning that countries doing business with Tehran will not be doing business with the United States. Iran's dictator is slamming the move as psychological warfare. So I like the us against them attitude, and we have breaking news here. German car company Daimler Chrysler has canceled plans in Iran to do business because the ambassador, Rick Grinnell, convinced them you either do business with Iran or you do business with the United States.
Rick has been doing, I should call him Ambassador Grinnell, has been doing a very good job, because there was another thing that was sort of slipped under the radar. Remember how during the Obama administration, the United States sent over cash to the Iranians? Okay, so there was, coming up this week, there was an attempt by some people in Iran wanting to get this money out of Germany as well. They had money in Germany, and Rick Grinnell was persuasive, and that money did not go. So that is happening. The pressure on the Europeans, I think, is working.
Good.
And I think it will be swift. I think the pressure on the Chinese and Russia,
no,
not so much.
Yeah, they're going to continue to probably do business with the Iranians. Greg, is this more carrot and stick with President Trump, where he slaps on these harsh sanctions and said, hey, you want to talk? Let's talk.
Absolutely. You know, Kerry can't walk away from the table because he's made from a table. He just falls in love. He goes, like he did, what is it called? Me and 23, what's it called?
23andMe?
23andMe, and he found out he was from a table. All right, enough of the tabling jokes. All right, this is a lot like North Korea. Trump
That's like a lousy joke.
Yeah, I know, but I love lousy jokes, Geraldo. Previous wisdom, he takes it, he turns it upside down, he starts over, he removes the reflexive roadblocks of the past and says, let's meet. Why do we trust him over the previous administration, who tried the same thing with Iran and thought they had a victory? It's because this new team is a murderer's row. Pompeo, Bolton, Mattis, Kelly, and Trump. That's a lot of sleeves you can hide a knife in. These are guys that you know, like I've said it before. Bolton, he's a walking no in all caps. He will give it. He might give an inch, but he will extract a tooth in exchange.
Yeah, these sanctions are pretty biting, as the president said, Geraldo. Commercial aircraft, precious metals, carpet exports, industrial software, cars, and sovereign debt, and they're basically cutting off all access to the dollar in terms of international business transactions. That's going to be pretty intimidating.
There is no doubt but that these sanctions are biting, and they will accomplish, I think, the goal, which is to get Iran to negotiate on the nuclear deal. And I think that President Trump should take up the whole idea of meeting with Rouhani. I liked when he meets these people face to face. I believe he has a unique and unprecedented and extraordinary ability in the face-to-face negotiation to do something. However, I think that our entire policy vis-a-vis Iran is bankrupt. Why? I think that we have totally picked the wrong enemy in the Middle East. In my experience, in decades of war reporting, the nuisance, the evildoer is Saudi Arabia. It was the Saudi Arabians who were the 9/11 hijackers. They're ISIS, they're Al-Qaeda, they're Al-Shabaab. It's the Sunni Saudi Arabians that are the real problem. The Iranians, I believe we could do business with them. They're the sheiks of Rodeo Drive in Southern California.
There could be more than one
They're
problem.
the Persians. I think that we really have gone.
Well, it's the regime in Iran
we've been
we have the
bought
problem
and
with.
purchased
That's
by
exactly
the Saudis.
what I was
The
gonna say.
Saudis have bought and purchased American foreign
Exactly what
policy.
I was going to say, Jesse. It is the regime in Iran. This is an oppressive regime. I don't understand why America would be helping to fund or give cash to an oppressive regime. President Trump is correct to take a hard line on this. This is the art of the deal. He will bring them to the table, and we will stop giving money to people that would blow us to smithereens if they had the ability to. So I think this is the right
way
move.
the Saudis did?
Thank you, Donald Trump.
I think, no, I do. Geraldo, it hurts to say this, but he does have a point.
Yep.
I mean, it is. I mean, the Saudis have been around. Like when we talk about Iranian terror, we always say they're the largest state
In the 20th century, maybe.
Yeah, but we try. But it's very hard to say. Well, which ones? That have that in America, but we know which ones in America with Saudis.
There can
we
be
also
more
know
than one
that-
problem.
Yeah, no,
that- no,
It's the
I
Middle
think
East.
you're correct.
They're all a problem.
You're
know?
right.
So it's something that we have to take care of. It's why we had to have a show of support with Israel, because they're
Yeah.
really our only allies in the Middle East,
Yeah.
and he's got to tackle all of it.
Yeah.
That's what.
But also,
it's
you
hard
have to
be
deal
the
with
president.
the situation that you have now, and that it has changed. Don't you think, Geraldo, that the Saudis are trying to figure out a way?
Women are
to-
driving.
You think so?
The Iranians are
The
not.
Saudis are perpetrating the biggest murderous assault on the nation of Yemen. It is the Saudis blowing up weddings. They're blowing up civilians. No one is holding them to task. They are blockading other peaceful Arab countries. I mean, it is outrageous to me that we don't see our own self-interest because of Saudi money,
We have a lot of
Saudi oil.
self-interest with the Saudis because of oil, and we can deal with them next after we deal with the Iranians. Geraldo.
Thank you.
A Democratic candidate dreams about America with open borders ahead.
I don't know what this is.
Yo quiero dinero también.
I want money too.
Very good, Dana. Very good.
I got it.
The battle over what to do about America's broken immigration system rages on, as you know. A Democratic candidate for governor in the border state of Arizona raising eyebrows with his vision of the future.
I want to just take a second and imagine. Let's just imagine. Just imagine. No wall. No wall in southern Arizona.
Mr. Garcia's dream of no wall is Donald Trump's nightmare, as you know. The president refusing to back away from his campaign promise to build the wall. Candace, you're filled with fury. Do you think the president should shut the government down if necessary to get funding for the border wall? Is it worth it to life or death? You know what I mean?
Look, I just want to take a second and imagine. If everyone could just imagine a world with no borders, we would see drugs flying in, children in Arizona specifically. That is the state that has the highest child sex trafficking over that border. So that is the world that he is imagining right now, where there are no rules and no regulation, and that's okay. I always ask the question, what bothers you more, the idea of a child being temporarily separated from their parent, or a child that is a part of a sex trafficking ring? Because that is what this question comes down to.
I appreciate the emotional appeal of your point.
He needs to take a hard line on this issue. I believe, I support him. I agree that if the government has to shut down to get it done, let the government shut down to make it
Jess,
work.
is it worth that much?
If he shuts it,
And this is weeks before the midterm.
if he shuts it down, he has to get the funding. Because if he shuts it down and doesn't get the funding, that's going to be an absolute catastrophe for not only his approval rating with his base, but also the people running for re-election. So it needs 60 votes in the Senate as is. I don't see it happening that way. I'm a little nervous about the wall. They're just going to have to do it brick by brick. I wish we didn't have to build a wall. Mexico wouldn't have to pay for it then because it's very expensive. But unfortunately, you need the wall to stop illegal immigration. And all these Democrats keep telling me when they're in this chair, oh, the Democratic Party doesn't believe in open borders. Okay, well, this guy does. Hillary Clinton, WikiLeaks, she said she didn't believe in borders. You had the number 2 at the DNC, Keith Ellison, wear a T-shirt that says, I don't believe in borders. Every time someone abolish ICE, they don't want to fund the wall. They don't want borders because they want the votes, and that's part of their party platform. It's just not a winning strategy.
Jim Jordan, you know him, Dana, candidate for speaker the next time around and in Ryan's absence. He says it's worth the fight. He says shut it down if we have to. The wall is what you ran on. It's been 18 months, no progress. I say, Jordan says, also an Ohio congressman, he says, shut it down. What say you, having been close to the heart of power?
Do you know that my first day on the job as a press secretary on Capitol Hill was the first day of the first government shutdown in 1995? And I didn't know if I should go to work or not because I wasn't sure if I was essential. And so I just think government by shutdown is really not a good way to do business, but also because of the partisanship, it's hard to get anything done. The best thing that the Republicans could do is try to stem their losses that they could face in the House, try to maybe win some, as the president said, a red wave. That's how you prevent government shutdowns. If you have more of your people, if shutting down the government and then not getting the money and then having to say, well, actually, we are getting the wall because we are doing these improvements, which are actually already happening. That would probably be a better strategic way to do it.
I agree. But, Greg, you've got firebrands on both sides. There's no way, if the Republicans are threatening a shutdown, if the president's threatening a shutdown, there's no way the Democrats will yield.
Yeah.
They will prolong the agony to unsettle the electorate on the eve of the midterms and could indeed... You know, are you willing to stake the future of the party on this one issue?
I don't know. I would normally say no, but I have been wrong so many times in the last couple of years, especially about Trump's policies. And I'm beginning to see evidence that Trump's immigration policies are beneficial to the lower rungs of the employment ladder. And it's something he should, I think he has been talking about it, but I don't know if he's linked it to the immigration policies. So as we see illegal immigration decline, there's been an increase in native-born employment, a small increase, like 1%, I believe. But that doesn't mean whites. That means blacks and Hispanics who are legal citizens here who are actually getting jobs. So that may be why his popularity is rising among blacks and Hispanics, which is something like 29% among blacks. So they have to show that maybe Trump's policies are having a definite effect on employment. This has been a debate forever.
Of course. It's not even a debate. Illegal immigration directly hurts the black community.
Yeah.
That's who affects, number one.
Bogus.
No,
I
it's not
totally
bogus.
bogus.
There's evidence there. They're actually
the black community is not going to go to the
black labor
poultry
force,
processing
the highest
plant,
unemployed
the meat packing plants.
Nope, you're absolutely incorrect. Okay.
Black unemployment is below 5%. Where are you going to find these black people?
I understand that now. Okay, yes, because thanks to Trump's policies.
Where are you going to find black people? Where are you going to find Latinos?
I'm sitting right next to you.
But you have a job.
I'm sitting right next to you. Where are we going to find these black people?
He's plucking a chicken right now.
My advice to my friend, the president, is to secretly negotiate with Schumer. You get the wall. He gets the Dreamers. Give a green light to the Dreamers.
They already said it.
They had it.
They got $25 billion on the wall, and they had Dreamers.
More than
25 off the table.
That's exactly
I want
correct.
the 2013 compromise legislation passed by the United States Senate. That's what I want. They don't want compromise.
Stop pretending they want compromise. He put that on the table. He put the docket deal on the table. They didn't want that. All they want to do is obstruct. So he's going to have to take a hard line to accomplish anything in this administration.
So you say fight to the finish.
I take great exception because it is factual that unemployment, the illegal immigration directly affects the black labor force first and foremost.
I absolutely disagree. I've written two books on the subject. I think that you are one of the most vivid and appealing and intelligent new commentators on the scene today, but you are wrong about that.
No, I'm not wrong.
That's what
I'm going to tweet the facts after this, guys.
One critic wants to pull the plug on one of America's reality TV's guilty pleasures. Find out what and why next.
But she ain't messing with no broke. Now I ain't saying she a gold digger.
One TV critic wants to do away with rose ceremonies and fantasy suites on TV. She says it's time to retire reality TV dating shows like The Bachelorette for good. The writer argues that in the Me Too era, throwing strangers together to find love and happiness on screen is anything but rosy. Is this too much? Why can't Americans just enjoy trashy TV? I will ask you that question, Greg. Why can't Americans just enjoy trashy TV?
I feel very strongly about this. I don't even believe it's trashy. What I see, I see it as a purely biological attraction that people are interested in stories. They're interested in romance, and romance can be sloppy. That's part of it. Dating shows also reveal the enemy of the hard left. Biology. Men and women are different down to their very cells, and you see this in these shows. You can't change these these types of shows with political action. And what drives me crazy is we're now dealing with a modern version of Big Brother. We are a nation of narcs. We see people having fun, right? And we want to eliminate people having fun. It's an elimination of entertainment and fun. We're going after costumes. We're going after dating shows.
Plastic straws.
Plastic straws. We're going after sports. Things that somehow every single person has to have fun and agree on it, or no one can have fun. That's where we're headed.
Yeah.
We are a nation of narcs and fun police, and they're all miserable people. The writer has to be miserable to come out against
No
this.
chance that writer voted for Donald Trump. Dana, question for you. A lot to me seems to be going under this umbrella of Me Too.
Yeah.
Can you perhaps
No, I
connect
think
the
they're
dots
trying.
here?
I think that everything is. They're trying to.
The Bachelorette and Me
put
Too.
It in. Yes, everything's being put in under that. Here's for me. Like I don't like this program, Bachelorette.
How dare you?
But guess what?
Neither do I.
I don't watch it.
The whole audience is
That's
women.
my choice.
Okay, wait. Can I interrupt?
That's too reasonable.
It's supposed to be a violation of Me Too. The entire audience is women and me. It's like 99% women.
You too.
And me.
And me.
Yes.
I mean, I've been through Brad, Juan Pablo,
Yes.
JoJo, Andy. I've seen them all, except this season I stopped watching. I love the show. I think it's romantic. And
Romantic?
I think it's incredible. I have teared up on a few of these episodes.
You have. I've seen it.
It's
Jess.
incredibly interesting, and I think what they're trying to do, they want to eliminate men courting women in America because of the Me Too movement.
That's correct.
And that's not. This is no one
But
crosses
didn't they
the
have
line
like
on
some
this
kind
show.
of seedy thing happen where there was supposed to be
On a reality
wasn't-
show,
but it wasn't. Somebody said it wasn't. It was non-consensual.
Was it Bachelor's in
Well, then
Paradise?
that's sad, and that
Yes,
should be
Bachelor's in Paradise.
No, but then it ended up being resolved, and they both said that it was consensual, and that the producers made it something that it wasn't. So let's clarify
Because they were trying to get some controversy so that we would talk about it on the pod.
I have considerable reality experience. I did The Celebrity Apprentice. There was no sex in that. But Dancing with the Stars,
With you,
I did
anyway.
Dancing with the Stars. I was already 73 years old when I did it. I was lame. I was awful. And they had asked me for 20 years or 10 years, however long the show's been around, to do Dancing with the Stars. My kids and my wife always said, don't do it, don't do it. Everybody has affairs with the dancers. You know, all of the celebrities have
I didn't know
affairs.
that.
So I didn't do it
Behind the
until I was
scenes.
past the fair age.
That happened a lot on Lawrence Welk, I hear.
Here's what's interesting. The
Now you're talking my
London School of
language.
Economics did a study. I don't know why they were doing this as a study, saying that the Kardashians, watching the Kardashians, makes people not like poor people. So this is also another concern, is that we are starting not to like being poor in this country.
I thought you were going to say it was like taking away their IQ.
This is,
No,
why are they studying this at the London School of Economics?
They're trying to link it to status inequality, that you
Correct.
see people
Right.
doing well, but it's actually
Socialism.
aspirational.
I don't
for a lot
mind
of
that at
people.
all.
It's good. They don't want to be poor.
aspirational.
What's wrong with that? What is wrong with
no
capitalism?
such thing. 15 years in television,
One
the
time I
Kardashians,
watched,
no such thing as an accident.
One time I watched like 5 hours of Bridezilla
Bridezilla.
because it was raining and we were someplace, and that was horrible. That was really bad.
You should see
For
the
5
Jersey
hours,
Shore.
it was horrible.
I like Bar Rescue. You guys watch Bar Rescue?
No.
Oh, it's great.
One more thing is up next.
Your body, girl.
One TV critic wants to do away with rose ceremonies and fantasy suites on TV. She says it's time to retire reality TV dating shows like The Bachelorette for good. The writer argues that in the Me Too era, throwing strangers together to find love and happiness on screen is anything but rosy. Is this too much? Why can't Americans just enjoy trashy TV? I will ask you that question, Greg. Why can't Americans just enjoy trashy TV?
I feel very strongly about this. I don't even believe it's trashy. What I see, I see it as a purely biological attraction that people are interested in stories. They're interested in romance, and romance can be sloppy. That's part of it. Dating shows also reveal the enemy of the hard left. Biology. Men and women are different down to their very cells, and you see this in these shows. You can't change these types of shows with political action. And what drives me crazy is we are now dealing with a modern version of Big Brother. We are a nation of narcs. We see people having fun, right? And we want to eliminate people having fun. It's an elimination of entertainment and fun. We're going after costumes. We're going after dating shows.
Plastic straws.
Plastic straws. We're going after sports. Things that somehow every single person has to have fun and agree on it, or no one can have fun. That's where we're headed.
Yeah.
We are a nation of narcs and fun police, and they're all miserable people. The writer has to be miserable to come out against
No
this.
chance that writer voted for Donald Trump. Dana, question for you. A lot to me seems to be going under this umbrella of Me Too.
Yeah.
Can you perhaps
No,
connect
I think
the
they're
dots
trying.
here?
I think that everything is. They're trying to.
The Bachelorette and Me
put
Too.
it in. Yes, everything's being put in under that. For me. I don't like this program, Bachelorette.
How dare you?
But guess what?
Neither do I.
I don't watch it.
The whole audience is
That's
women.
my choice.
Okay, wait. Can I interrupt?
That's too reasonable.
It's supposed to be a violation of Me Too. The entire audience is women and me. It's like 99% women.
You too.
And me.
And me.
Yes.
I mean, I've been through Brad, Juan Pablo,
yes,
JoJo, Andy. I've seen them all, except this season. I stopped watching. I love the show. I think it's romantic. And
romantic.
I think it's incredible. I've teared up on a few of these episodes.
You have. I've seen it.
It's incredibly interesting, and I think what they're trying to do, they want to eliminate men courting women in America because of the Me Too movement. That's correct. And that's not. No one crosses the line on this show.
Didn't they have like some kind of seedy thing happen where there was supposed to be
on a reality show?
But it wasn't. Somebody said it wasn't. It was non-consensual.
Was it Bachelors in Paradise?
Yes,
Bachelors in Paradise.
No, but then it ended up being resolved, and they both said that it was consensual, and that the producers made it something that it wasn't. So let's clarify
because they were trying to get some controversy so that we would talk about it on the pod.
I have considerable reality experience. I did The Celebrity Apprentice. There was no sex in that. But Dancing with the Stars,
With you,
I did
anyway.
Dancing with the Stars. I was already 73 years old when I did it. I was lame. I was awful. And they had asked me for 20